to introduce myself. Stoner Story Witch.
Right? Because studies have shown that folks who read novels regularly tend to score higher on empathy than folks who don't, right? Because the idea is you're getting into other people's heads, other people's situations.
Yeah.
It grows your empathy for people who might be different from you. The only way that it would ever actually turn out that your book is starting to have a net negative is if somehow somebody turns it into scripture, and 1,000 years later that gets co-opted by the empire in the same way that Jesus's book was turned into that.
Hello and welcome to the Stoner Story Witch. My name is Kristen, and I am grateful to be hosting this podcast on the lands of the Chorotega people, colonially known as Costa Rica. So the process has been lately for our writers group that, we meet once a week and we chat about our stuff. We press record to just kind of get some of the antsiness of what it is to press record out of the way. The majority of our conversations are not intended for the public. I will not be at this time sharing any samples of the writing that we are doing, but just kind of more some of the conversations that we're having kind of about the writing process itself. Another thing that I will be including in these episodes, I believe, is anytime each other's work or some part of the process is reminding us of a story or a scripture or a TV show or whatever it is, that I'm including those in here as just kind of part of, Sophie Strand calls it the compost heap, right? It's all in the mix. It's all in the field. It's, Gina Cadlick even mentioned in the podcast, stories really are just like a collective conversation. Dana Lynn Nichols would call it, liberation is collective imagination. And so in a lot of ways, there really are no new stories, and that is okay. And it just means that we all get to be in conversation with each other. And so it feels nice to honor the stories that have mentored us to this point where we are then, trying to bring different stories to life. I just want to reiterate that these writers group episodes that I'm doing in my, what I'm calling season 5, but as they're sprinkled out in the coming months, I'm offering them really as little diary entries into the process of creating something. And so if you've listened to other episodes where, I might be coming at it with, very specific questions, very specific, an intention of what it is that I'm going to be talking about in an outline. This is not that. This literally is, the process of this is I am just listening to old conversations that I had and revisiting those moments, reflecting on them, and then just offering them out as like a little journal entry, like a little diary. So if that sounds interesting to you, oh my gosh. Hello. If you have thoughts or responses, please, by all means, shoot me an email at stonerstorywitch@gmail.com or comment on the post on the Substack where you found this episode. But yeah, it's the idea of just having a personal conversation and offering it out to the collective. And, maybe not everybody has people that they can necessarily meet with, but maybe your mirror neurons can get activated by the idea that okay, there are people doing this work. And so I am just in it, and this episode and episodes like these are just demonstrating the in itness of trying to bring a creative work to life. So without any further ado, here are the snippets of various conversations that I had with my friend Matt in September.
Well, I had a neat experience this morning because, of course, Tuesdays are when I'm like, oh, I get to write. This is fun.
Aw.
So I started opening things up. And like I've mentioned before, this is like a continuation of a really long-lived project that I started when I was a very different person, and I became three different people along the way. It's very old. This thing is older than most of my kids.
Oh, wow.
Um, And it really got to a point where I thought it was almost done. This is about 6 years ago. But now it can't stay that way. There's a lot of things that need to change. So here's what I came across this morning. And if you're okay, I'm just gonna spoil all the things because we're working on writing. We're not telling each other stories. We're
Yeah.
helping each other tell stories. Um, And so Geniza is basically it's a Jewish cemetery for books.
Hmm.
So like let's say you got some scripture, but it gets really, really old. You can't use it anymore, but you're not going to throw this out. This is writing. This is sacred. So they
Hmm.
have a little cemetery for it. So what my buddy does and what I started doing, anything that I'm cutting from anything that I'm working on, I put it in a folder. I think I even named mine Geniza. I don't know where it is because I haven't written for a while.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I'll go back and I'll find something, and he has found little rejects that became stories that he's very proud of or poems that he's proud of just by
Hmm.
searching in his graveyard. So even though they do say kill your darlings, we don't have to put them to death. We can just put them in a nice little cave somewhere, and then maybe they will seed up later.
Well, yeah, I think it's kind of like it's just compost, right? It's like, okay, like
Oh, that's good.
yeah, that's not
Yes.
that's not what's needed, but then you kind of like you add it to the compost heap and then you go back and then it's like, oh shit, like look, there's some shit
Look at
growing
that.
here
The
actually.
shit is
Or
growing.
yeah, yeah,
Wow.
yeah, no, I like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. My takeaway was that like it's almost irresponsible as writers to like write a sci-fi of like such a dystopian technology that could like just like do terrible things because it's like the kids reading that could become billionaires, could become the next Elon Musk and could actually like make that come to fruition. It's like the
That's
the,
interesting.
the like
That's interesting.
the responsibility that we actually have to like build the worlds that like we would
Yeah.
want. And that doesn't mean that, you're sugarcoating evil, but like maybe we don't actually want to be in the mind of somebody who's driven crazy. Like maybe that actually is not like caretaking our readership responsibly or something. And maybe it was like
Yeah.
maybe that was like a really healthy compassion building exercise for you when you wrote it, but then it's kind of one of those like, oh shit.
This
Like,
inflicts things. That's what it is. It inflicts things. Yeah, I like how you're saying irresponsible. I remember way when I was at U of T, one of the other students, we were all going to bring in pieces of writing that inspired us or made us want to push. One student brought in a short story that we're just listening to it. We're like, this is the most horrific thing. It was just a story of some meaningless suffering, just meaningless, explicit suffering. And we all kind of went away a little bit shaken. And the
yeah.
consensus was we all wish that we hadn't heard that,
Yeah.
right? So that's what
Trauma
I
just
that's huge. I don't want to it's like the anti-gospel sort of thing.
yeah.
It's
Trauma
funny.
porn or something, I think is another like,
It's,
yeah.
and I think that we don't realize that that's got to have an effect, right? Because studies have shown that folks who read novels regularly tend to score higher on empathy than
Oh,
folks who don't, right? Because the idea is you're getting into other people's heads, other people's situations. It
yeah.
grows your empathy for people who might be different from you, except with science fiction. They did not have the same results. Now, sometimes science fiction, because they're not even differentiating what kind of science fiction are we talking about, right?
Right.
Um, but sometimes science fiction does have that thing. I would have been interesting if horror was on that list as well, because some of it just So I say recently, but it's been a year now. I started LARPing with this group of people who do like Warhammer Grimdark Fantasy LARP. They're very lovely people. We're not as violent as it seems. But one of the neat things in this world, this fantasy world, is that there's this thing called corruption. And if you get too much corruption, you start getting angry, hateful, greedy, like literally like it has an effect. And one of the ways you get it is by reading nasty things,
Yeah.
which I think tracks in this conversation. There are some things that if you read it, um, it it gives you the possible of like creating an anti-gospel for your life. Things would be a little bit worse with this idea in your head.
Yeah, it's like you are like your emotional state kind of is what you read. And I think that was one of the things that kind of put me over the edge of like wanting to write a romantasy was like realizing how
Hmm.
people read romantasy is often like right before they go to sleep. Or like or like like those kinds of it's like, oh, I just want to like decompress and just like go no, like escape. I just want to like escape
Yeah.
in my little world. And um like what I've learned about like hypnosis
Hmm.
and like just like how our subconscious works like you like I have like an affirmation practice where because I learned from one of my teachers that like you can just like one of the most simple things you like or at least this is my takeaway and I'll speak to it like one of the simplest things that you can do to kind of rewire your brain is to like write an affirmation like in the present
Hmm.
tense before you go to bed, like within 30 minutes of
Hmm.
before you go to bed. And then it's like you're, like the act of like physically writing it. And within 30 minutes of falling asleep, then it's like your subconscious just kind of like accepts it.
It's the first thing that it picks up,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. It's just like it's the first thing that it's like reintegrating then as you sleep. And so then I was just like, oh well, if I know that people like and a lot of people like listening to audiobooks too. So I was like, well, if I write this book and then I also offer it in like a recording on it, then I can have offer two different ways that people can ingest it, whether they
Yep.
want to listen to it or whether they want to read it. But knowing that a lot of people anybody that might find it a common way that they do it a common time that they do it is right before they fall asleep and so then it's just like oh well what do I
Uh,
want them like lingering in like do I like
yeah.
grappling like so one of the things in all the books uh of the fanfic or of the Empyrean up until this point. Like she doesn't really like feel her feelings that much. The feelings that she does go into are the physical pain because she has Ehlers-Danlos and POTS.
Hmm.
And like getting like they're in a war college, so like, ooh, the shooting pain of the dagger, or like that kind of thing. But
Yeah.
and anytime there's like any grief, she's like, I'm gonna shove that in a box for another day. Like that's just
Hmm.
there's always like this compartmentalizing. And there's like a little bit where I'm just like, I just want to like create a little bit of safeness for that box to open and for people to like feel those feelings and like be safe enough, find safety in the hard real feelings of grief and despair and futility and what do I do from here? Where do I go from like where what do we do now?
Yeah.
Um
That's such a perspective to even think about the time of day for your genre because it having that in your head is such a cool tool and gives you such a cool perspective when you're writing because we're always like trying to embody our writer's mind as they're reading, but you can even do that in a specific time and place, which I think might make it even more powerful for what you're trying to do. This I love this idea. And you know what? Here's the funny thing. Even if that statistic or whatever turned out not to be true, although it sounds very, very true, the thought about it is influencing your writing in an empathetic way, and that can only help. It's kind of like I remember years ago, our littlest guy was diagnosed autistic a long time ago. And so we're talking to the social worker. And we're like, well, so what are some tips that you have? He's very high functioning, but how can we,
mm,
support him And so she starts listing all the different ways that we can, modify or, whatever, do as parents do this, empathetic listening, taking time to understand. Da, 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 da. And I'm like, wait, aren't these just things that we should do to normal humans all the time? And she leans forward, yes, yes.
Yes,
Autism wouldn't be a problem if we would just do this all the time. And it's like,
exactly.
so even if he wasn't autistic, you do this anyway. So even if people are reading this first thing in the morning, this
Mm,
reminder that your stories will be lingered on when the book is put down,
yeah,
I just seems like a powerful perspective.
yeah, yeah. It's the
Because
whole
I can even think of books that I have put down because they've troubled me so much. I used to read Stephen King ravenously,
Mm,
like a lot, especially when I was living in Pakistan, until halfway through. What was that really big one? I don't remember any of them. I feel like The Stand, and I was like, I can't. I'm
yeah,
sad now. I'm
yeah,
so sad now.
yeah.
He's a pantser. And when I found that out, for some reason, I didn't like it because it explained why all of his endings didn't make sense to me. I think he just decides to stop writing and walks away.
Yeah, I mean, and like when you're Stephen King, like you can because people still buy your.
Yeah, yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah. Huh.
Uh,
Right. Yeah. You don't want to inspire cruelty in your readers. Or at least I don't
yeah,
want to,
I don't
like I
want
want
to inspire it. And I
to.
also don't want to invite them to feel it.
Yeah.
Whether they would enjoy that or the opposite. Both of those are just, because it'll either hurt them or it
Yeah.
won't,
I feel like
which is worse.
yeah, I feel like there's a difference in like I think a lot about like how characters have like companioned me and my like I feel less
Hmm.
alone by like, you read a book and you're like, "Oh my God, I feel like the way the protagonist is written, it's like they were in my head." Or like this poem, it's like I
Yeah.
feel like I could never write this poem in a million years, but this person was like in my body too. Like they wrote from me. Like this could be my words if only I, were skillful enough to write those words.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like this is a companion for me. Like, and it maybe helps me then metabolize emotions that I would otherwise feel too lonely to be able to like
Yeah.
metabolize on my own. We can companion people to kind of like have this be like an avatar, like this character is an avatar of their own experience without like re-traumatizing that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
If that's like that good story, that gospel, that's like, what do they do now?
Yeah,
Um,
which is why we always have to have hope. We always have to write about, and the darker it is, I think that we have to have big redemption offered. Part of the reason of this darkness was maybe I had been reading A Song of Ice and Fire. This is before the TV show came
okay.
out. And I was just like, holy shit, this is violent.
Yeah.
And then I'd go and write my book. So I can see
Mm,
that influence there.
yeah.
Uh,
That's a really good point.
so look at us responsible writers wanting to send good messages to save the world and not to damn it.
Um, but as I was literally, why am I saying this? As I was like writing that, it was it was almost like I was then calling it forth. Then, like, there was some weird interpersonal stuff that happened in like some of the circles that I'm in
Oh,
with like with white lady wellness folk that I'm like
yep.
in community with. And I'm just like, oh my God, like, did I make this happen? Like,
Ah,
there's that one show that I don't even remember if I've seen the movie, but like, uh,
Stranger Than Fiction.
is that what it is? Where he like
Yeah,
writes a
with
book
Tilda
and then
Swanson and Will Ferrell.
there it is. Yeah, and then he realized
Yeah,
I don't think I've
yeah.
actually seen it, but I just remember the premise of like he's
It
writing
works.
and
It
it's like his
works.
own. And I was just like, oh man, I feel like this is a
What have
little
I done?
what have I actually done? I've called this
I
forth.
better
But
be
it does
careful.
feel like it's a helpful thing. And the other thing that just sounds so cool to me that then when I realized I was just like, oh my God, this is this fanfic is just becoming like a thesis of like
Mm,
why we need fanfic or something.
cool.
And she always calls it the archives. Like I go to the archives. Like they don't call it library, they call it archive.
Right.
And like the website that I imagine I will probably, I mean, maybe there's more than one, but the one that I know of that people post their fanfic to is called Archive of Our Own, AO3.
Oh, well, that's
Um,
cool.
and so I was just like, the fact that it's even like called archives, and she's like, I go to my archives, or it's in my archives, pulling a book from the shit. What if people read this and don't get it? What if they get such a different version than what I intended, and I actually
Yeah.
make the world worse? Like that would fucking suck. So
I assume that your book will not lead us to a global apocalypse. I
I
think
mean,
that
or
we're
we were
good
already
there.
headed in that direction
We're
anyway.
already going, and you know
Okay.
what? If people misunderstand, it will be fewer people than the ones who do.
Yeah, that's, I
That
hope.
that's always so important. Even if now the only way that it would ever actually turn out that your book is starting to have a net negative is if somehow somebody turns it into scripture, and 1,000 years later that gets co-opted by the empire in the same way that Jesus's book was turned into that.
Well, and I think that's kind of I think that's kind of really the message I'm trying to, the parallel I'm connecting here.
Yeah,
Because I do think, like, I think people really feel about their protagonists of some of their favorite fictions in like a similar way of,
I 100% agree with that.
and it's just like, okay, but
Yeah.
if you really, then let's make sure that what that character is saying is,
Yeah, and what they're standing for. Even if the character themselves isn't standing for it, but the story around the character.
yeah,
It's just it. I think that, and they never talk about this. Virtue is important.
yeah,
It's important. We have to be virtuous writers because
right,
there are bad things and suffering things, and we kind of have to be on the good side of the good fight.
yeah,
Otherwise, I think we might get damned. I'm not sure.
yeah.
The jury's still out.
Well, yeah, and I think that, yeah, I think that's the theme, especially as you're like, okay, I wrote these pages, I wrote this scene, and is this the most virtuous way to convey the story?
Oh,
And the
yeah,
discernment to be like, I'm gonna stop after 190 words because I
this
don't
is
think
not
this
the
is where
way.
it's at.
This is not. Yes, this is the way. Yeah. Sometimes the way is finding out it's not the way.
Yeah. Yeah, there's something about like when a book is written and then there's like enough of a twist that kind of makes you be like, okay, now I want to go back and reread and see all the like little things that like the little breadcrumbs or Easter eggs or whatever that were there that you kind of uh, assume,
Yeah.
like one thing, but then you're like, oh, but now I have this whole
It's
other
something else.
realization.
Yeah, I love those things.
Yeah.
Hmm.
You want there to be some Easter eggs without it being like really obvious that it's like Easter.
Yeah,
You-
yeah. You want the reader to enjoy finding that and think, "Ooh, I read closely. I got this." This has been very edifying for me. This is great.
Okay, good.
I,
Good. And yeah,
so I will for sure see you next Tuesday then.
okay, sounds good. And if something comes up, of course. But
Hit you up.
all right.
I,
Care.
bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. Thank you, Matt, for continuing to meet with me and trudge along in this journey. Thank you to everyone in my life that has, even if just energetically, has been offering me witnessing and support and companionship in this process. I am still months and months and months away from it being finished, and it just feels meaningful and possible to be continuing on this journey in the midst of these tumultuous times. just knowing that there are people in the world that are collectively imagining with me and companioning me. So thank you, thank you, thank you. As always, feel free to comment on the Substack post where you found this, or reach out to me at stonerstorywitch@gmail.com. It is my hope that every creator out there who wants and needs companionship on that journey to Oz, or to return the ring to Mordor, wherever it is, whatever your story is of your life, it is my hope that you are well companioned and well resourced for that liberatory journey. Thank you to John Williams and Anais Mitchell for the inspiration for the theme song of the Stoner Story Witch podcast, as well as Matt Schubbe and Kevin Carlo for their creative juices for the cover art and the sound editing and production. And with that, I will leave you with my quote from Rev. Angel Kyoto Williams that says, "Love and justice are not two. Without inner change, there can be no outer change. And without collective change, no change matters." Take good care, everyone. Bye for now.